Greetings, family. Woo, let me get this hair under control a little bit. Listen to a little bit of Alice Coltrane this morning. If you are not familiar with Alice Coltrane, please check her out. Please look her up. She was John Coltrane's wife and a very magnificent and gifted musician in her own right. So check her out, look her up. So we are convening here today for the Sweetwater Collective. Um, Everyone who normally comes to kick it with me in person is busy today. So we have hairdressers, we have graduate school students, and no one's day would permit them to come out and participate in person. So we're going to just have an online session today. So we've been going through the verses of the De Logun Oracle, Marin De Logun. This is the original oracle within the tradition. So I just need a little Palo Santo in my life. Craving that scent right now. Get everything clean and clear. So today we are going to deal with the a verse from the Odu Obara. Okay. Um, I had kind of gotten out of order, so what I'm trying to do at this point is get back in order with my presentation of the Odu. Everything in Yoruba culture is based on seniority. Hold on, guys. I got a device that I got to plug up into this laptop. Yeah. Okay. So everything in Yoruba culture is based on seniority. Okay. Let me get my phone turned down. Okay. All right. Everything in Yoruba culture, as I've said 45 times at this point, is based on seniority. So the system that we use to divine and the verses that we recite when we divine are the same. They are based on the seniority of when they appeared in the physical realm. And the time when they appeared in the physical realm, we do refer to as the time when they were born. So we very much understand the Odu, the actual verses that are meant to be chanted to drum beats, and they're meant to be chanted to the client that comes to receive a divination and to people when they're being shared as stories. And just an aside, when we think about this chanting, this is very germane to African culture. This is a part of West African culture and probably African culture across the continent, but I'm not sure because my specialty of study has been West African culture. But we can see the retentions of this chanting when we think of the style of prayer that was used and may still be utilized in Black churches. So if you think of how when the elders would pray, they would pray in that sing-songy type of fashion. This is the same way that the Odu were chanted for tens of thousands of years before we were brought to these shores, okay? But when the Odu appeared on Earth Mother Onile, which is the physical realm, then we consider that to be the time that it was born. So the Odu that were born first, that appeared here first, then those are the older Odu, and they hold more weight within the divination system. The Odu that appeared later, then those are the younger Odu, and when it comes to the process of divining, they hold less weight. Everything in Yoruba culture is based on seniority because it is understood that those who appear first on the physical realm made the decision to come first. And so, because they have been here the longest and they have endured the physical realm the longest, then they receive the honor of being treated as seniors. So, that seniority is central to Yoruba culture or Anago culture. Just getting my candles and everything. I just want the vibes to be right. So I'm trying to get back in order with how I am presenting the Odu to you so that you can understand them in order of their seniority within the structure of the body of verses. Okay. All right. So today we're going to go back kind of to Obara because we had gone into it before, but we had to circle all the way back. So we're now back to Obara. Okay. This particular verse in Obara is one of my favorite because it focuses up on the development of self and the understanding of self and introspection. Okay. So, all right, we're going to go into this verse. If you have the book 16 Calories, we are on page 517. I would show you the cover of the book, but my cover is non existent. But the book is 16 Calories. It was written, it was recited and chanted by Baba Saleko many, many years ago. He was an Obatala priest in Nigeria, and William Bascom requested that Obatala recite the Odu verses that he knew. Originally Saleko refused, but he later decided to do it. So every verse that we have in this book was recited by Baba Saleko. So we owe him a great debt. And Bascom later had it translated into English. And this is how we have this particular version of these verses today. All right. Orisha says that we should offer a sacrifice where we see 6 elders on the tray. Orisha says we should offer a sacrifice here. He says that we should not be of two hearts. We should not be in doubt. Orisha says we should be single hearted. So Orisha speaks. Do you see the way that Orisha says that this is so? The yam mortar is not good for pounding indigo. The indigo mortar is not good for pounding yam. My beautiful tray upon which I would display beads for sale, I would not use to display dried fish. Cast for Akere Misele when he was of 2 hearts. He asked what he should do. They said he should offer 24,000 calories, 2 chickens, 2 pigeons. He should offer a sacrifice. He should offer to his hand of Ifa with food. He should sacrifice to it with drink, and they said that a blessing would come to him. At Karamelese, this sacrifice would be effective. He offered the sacrifice, and when he offered it, all of the headaches that had troubled Akaramelese, all of his liver pains and other ailments, none bothered him anymore. All of the work that he had been doing without profit, it became profitable. He was having money. He was begetting children. His life was good. He was dancing. He was rejoicing. He was praising the diviners, and the diviners were praising Orisha, that the diviners had spoken the truth. The yam mortar is not good for pounding indigo. The indigo mortar is not good for pounding yam. My beautiful tray, upon which I would display beads for sale, I would not use to display dried fish. Cast for a caramelese when he was of 2 hearts. His diviner was Obara. A caramelese was of 2 hearts, and this is where Orisha says we should not be of 2 hearts. All right. So it does not tell us at the beginning what Brother Akira Malese's problem was, but in the middle, we see that he had become physically ill. He was suffering from headaches. He was having pains in his liver, and he was having pains in his other organs. Also, his business was not profitable. He was doing work and he was not being paid for it. So these were the reasons that Akira Malese came to get a divination. These were the reasons he came to get a reading. These were the reasons that he came to the diviner. When he came to the diviner, it is the Odu Obara that fell on the tray. And the verse that was recited to him was not to be of two hearts. What does that mean? How can one be of two hearts when one only possesses one, right? Well, many times, and it is almost unfortunately the norm in this society for people to be one thing, but to be acting as though they are something else. You know your essence. You know your being. You know who and what you are. And you know what the destiny is that you came here to fulfill. You have known it since you were small. Your destiny is in your Ori. So there came a point in your life after you knew yourself to be a separate entity from your mother, because we don't come into the world knowing that we're something separate from our mothers. And for a long time, we aren't. From the perspective of the Anago philosophy and spiritual system, a child does not become a separate being from her mother until she is 7 years old. And at that point, this is when she becomes a separate being or he becomes a separate being. Okay. So those times when you were small and remember how wrenching it was to be separated from your mother and how strange you would feel and how out of sorts, it's because on so many levels, both spiritually and physically, you all were one being for a very long time. But there came a time when you knew yourself to be a separate being from your mother. You realized it. You realized that you didn't always have to be where she was, and she didn't always have to be where you were. Right? So after that time, when you were realizing yourself to be a separate being, you begin to have personal epiphanies, thoughts sprang into your mind that were just about you and were only for you. Sometime during that time, your destiny was revealed to you. You had a personal epiphany about who you are, and what you are supposed to be doing in this particular lifetime. And you can say all that you want to say, oh, that's not true, Elosha. That never happened to me. You're not being honest. You're not being honest. You're being fearful because you have allowed obstacles and blockages to make you believe that you can't fulfill that destiny. But I know because it happened to me, and I have 8 siblings, and it happened to them, and I have 6 children, and it happened to them. So I feel like I know human nature pretty well. Also, I'm a teacher, and I listen to other students I listen to students discuss when it happened to them. I feel like I know human nature pretty well. And then I'm old. So I've been alive a long time, and I pay attention, I'm quiet, and I watch. So you've had moments when your destiny was revealed to you. And you have known since you were small who and what you are as a being on this physical realm, on this planet at this time. You know who that is. You know what that is. You live something different for many reasons. You began living something different than exactly what you are because it wasn't safe to be what you are. People would berate you. People would ridicule you. People would make fun of you. People would tease you. In some cases, people may have caused you physical harm for being exactly who and what you are. It may have put you in physical danger. In this society that we live in this day and time, being exactly who and what you are can sometimes be deadly. And I understand that. I've lived it. We all live here. I live here just like you live here. So I understand that it can be deadly. Also, the legacy of the enslavement period is for Black people that we were raised to be something different because we had centuries of devastating, heinous, horrendous behavior that taught us not to fully shine and not to be our full selves. So everybody in this society has been taught that they have to be this thing over here. But if you are a Black person, it has been ingrained in you with a specific type of fear that is DNA deep because it was placed into the DNA of our great grandmothers and great grandfathers. So we are not being ourselves. Very rarely are we being ourselves. This is what this Odu is speaking of. We are being currently of two hearts. It's how we're living, right? We have this face and we have this face. And one is our actual face and one is our pretend face, right? That's how we're living. So we're being of two hearts. We are not sure who and what to be, right? So what this will do is bringing to the forefront is when you are living life as something other than you put your health at risk. The stress that is caused by constantly having to live in a state of pretending is going to get into your mind and into your brain. And this is, in this particular Odu, the metaphor that they use for that is headaches. And I mean, it's not just a metaphor. Most headaches are caused by some sort of stress and some sort of anxiety. And those things are based upon fears. Okay, so being of two hearts, being of two minds, being something and having to act like you're something else, causing you headaches. It talks about the problems with his liver. That's powerful. Holistically, if you speak to a holistic doctor, a naturopathic doctor, they will tell you that the liver is the organ that holds anger. And when people have issues with their liver, it's because they have unresolved anger issues. Sorry, y'all, something got on my dress. Okay? So this living in two minds, being of two hearts, caused Akira Melese pain in his liver. He was having liver issues, right? Because he was living in this stressed out condition, because he was not living his life, because he was not being himself, he was being something other than himself. The business that he was in, the things that he was doing that should have been bringing him profit, were not. He wasn't making any profit from his business. Clients, business clients, customers, whatever you want to call them, they are aware of when you're being inauthentic. First of all, not just clients. Let's we can take that off of it, right? Everyone is aware of when you're being inauthentic. When you're being inauthentic, it's visible. And people who can sense things can sense it. They can feel it. There's a taste to it. There's a smell to it. There's a sound to it when someone is being inauthentic. So if you are a business person, if you are an entrepreneur, and ancient economies were built on entrepreneurship, right? And continue to be built on this economy that we live in is built on entrepreneurship, to be completely honest with you. We pretend that it's something else, but a corporation is nothing but a business that is owned by some people, right? So I have my business. Walmart is owned by Mr. Wall. Okay. I don't remember his actual name, but y'all feel what I'm saying here. So you are not going to be able to magnetize and draw people to you not being real. Or the people that you draw to you will be equally as unreal. So you ain't gonna make no money that way. You ain't gonna profit that way. Okay, when we talk about profit, we talking about profiting in every way, getting what you need, right? You're not profiting. So Akira Malese was not profiting. He was ill. He was having headaches. His liver was hurting. He was living in anger. His business was not profitable and his other organs were bothering him. Another organ, an area of the body that will bother you when you're living an inauthentic life is these organs that are in your chest. Your respiratory system will bother you when you're living an inauthentic life, when you're choking down things that you know that you should be saying, when you're not doing things that you know that you should be doing, and you are not fully living and not fully being yourself. You are of two hearts. You are of two minds. Okay? This is what this Odu is speaking about. And the Odu gives us some beautiful visual imagery to go along with it, right? Our ancestors said the yam mortar is not good for pounding indigo. Now let me educate you a little bit on yams. What is a yam? Right? We black people over here, we feel like we know what a yam is. We don't know what no yam is. When you talk about a yam from a West African perspective, you talk about a yam from a Yoruba, from an Anago perspective, a yam is a big old root about this big. It's huge. And when you cut the root open, and you pound it, it is pristinely white, pristinely white. It is a kind of white that's so bright that it almost looks gray. Yam is the whitest root that is eaten in Nigeria, in West Africa, okay? So when you talk about yam, they ain't talking about sweet potatoes. They ain't talking about an orange potato. That's not what they're discussing. They're discussing a big, gigantic, pristinely white root. Okay, so that's what a yam is. What is indigo? Indigo is a beautiful flower. The yam is not a sweet potato. Indigo is a beautiful flower, a plant that creates a blue-black dye. Indigo was first grown and cultivated by West African people, and this particular plant was brought here to the United States. And one of the things that West African people created with it was jean, which we now call blue jeans. But original blue jeans were dyed with indigo. Okay? And it is so blue that it's almost black. So, what is the Odu telling us? It's saying that the yam is a particular thing. It is a food. It is a pristine white food, right? Indigo is a blue-black dye that is poisonous if you eat it, right? So if you have a mortar that was created to pound yams, a pristine white yam that you are then going to eat, you cannot use this same mortar to pound indigo, a blue-black dye that is poisonous. By the same token, if you have a mortar that you use to pound indigo so that you can make your beautiful adire cloth, one of the first dyes that our ancestors used to make the beautiful print on cloth in the Anago society was indigo. And our first styles of making what is it, symbols and designs were called adire, still called adire, and they were made with indigo dye, beautiful blue, and I actually have some. So I may go over to my closet and get it because I'm here in my room. But adire, indigo is useful. Indigo is necessary. We must have indigo to keep ourselves beautiful, to adorn ourselves properly, right? So you have a nice mortar that you use to pound your indigo to get that nice blue-black juice out of it so that you can dye your cloth and have beautiful cloth to wear. So indigo is necessary. So you have a mortar that you use to pound this blue-black dye. You cannot use that same mortar to pound your pristine white root that you're going to eat, your yams. So it's not saying that one is better than the other. It's not saying that one is more useful than the other. It's saying this one is for indigo and this one is for yams. There are two different things with two different purposes that are very clearly distinct. You can't mix them. If you try to mix them, you are going to cause calamity, right? You're going to ruin your dye if you mix that with yams, and you're going to kill yourself if you mix your yams with the dye. Calamity. It says, my beautiful tray upon which I display beads for sale. So let's talk about beads and what they mean in Anago culture. You can't study the literature or the orature or the stories of a people or the mythology of a people outside of the understanding of the culture of the people. This is why no one understands the Bible, because they insist upon studying it outside of Hebrew culture. And so most of it makes absolutely no sense to those of us who are not Hebrew. So if you're going to understand the mythology, the Bible is Hebrew mythology. If you're going to understand the mythology of a people, you must understand the culture of a people. So that's why I stop with each verse and I give you the cultural understanding. Otherwise, you ain't gonna really know what the hell they talking about. You gonna think they saying one thing when they ain't saying that. They ain't saying that, okay? So let's go on back to the beads, right? The next line was, my beautiful tray upon which I display beads for sale. Okay? So beads in Anago culture, in West African culture, period, are the highest form of wealth. The more beads that you wear around your neck, around your waist, around your wrist, around your ankles, are symbolic of the amount of wealth that you have. First reason, to create beaded jewelry is time consuming. Any of us who have done it will tell you. So if you have enough leisure time to sit back and create beaded jewelry, that indicates a particular type of wealth. Second reason, beads have to be meticulously created out of the substances that they're made of. One of the beads that's used, I don't have mine over here. I think I put it over on my shrine. One of the beads that is indicative of wealth in West African culture is the red West African coral. And these beads have to be carved out of this material very carefully. So the beads are worth a great deal. So when we talk about beads in West African culture, we are talking about wealth. We are talking about a high level purchase. Okay. So they're saying that they're displaying beads for sale. So when you think about beads for sale, I want you to think about a jewelry store. So if we were to put it in modern terms, we would say the velvet tray upon which I display my diamonds. Okay, when it says the beautiful tray upon which I display my beads for sale, this is talking about a high level adornment purchase, very expensive because of the labor intensiveness of creating it. Okay, so that's what it means when it says beads. It says, I would not use this same tray to display dried fish. Dried fish is a common food. It's in everything in Anago dishes. It is like salt here. Okay, you just throw it in everything, and it's very cheap. It's a very low cost, and it's put in everything. So it would be as if you had a beautiful velvet tray that you had diamond rings on, and then you went and threw a hamburger on it, right? You wouldn't do that. The velvet tray is not to put a hamburger on, right? And it wouldn't make you would feel crazy doing it. So when you hear this verse within its cultural context, now you can see how it makes sense, right? You can see what Obara is saying. You can see the way that Orisha says that this is so. You can hear it. Not only don't be of two hearts, but what? Don't use yourself and or allow yourself to be used for something that you know is beneath you. Amen, lights. What? Y'all don't hear me though? Because if you are a beautiful tray upon which we would display beads for sale, you're a beautiful velvet tray upon which we display diamond rings. You shouldn't be allowing yourself to be used to display dried fish. So not only are you to act in accordance with your own nature and in ways that are beneficial for your own destiny that you know, because your Ori told it to you when you were small, you know what your destiny is. Not only are you to be acting in accord with those things, but you are also not to be treating yourself as if you are less than you are. Never treat yourself as if you're less than you are. Always treat yourself according to what you know yourself to be. I don't care what other people say that you are. I don't give a damn about that. It ain't nothing in this old do about what other people say that you are. This is talking about what you know yourself to be from your inside, right? This man's body was speaking to him of his transgressions against himself. His body was, this what it means to be sick. That's what it means to be ill. It means you out here transgressing against your body, and your body is like, what the hell is you doing? You're killing me. That's what it means to be sick. Akira Malese was transgressing against his body. His body spoke to him. He was suffering from headaches. He was having pains in his liver. His other organs were hurting, and nothing that he was doing was coming to fruition. He came to get a divination, and Obara said, you out here acting outside of yourself. You out here pretending to be something that you know you are not. You are out here acting beneath yourself. You know yourself to be at a certain level, and you're acting like you're lower than that. You're out here being humble when it ain't time to be humble. You out here not stepping into your greatness when you can see that greatness right before you. You're out here allowing fear and what some other dumbass idiot has said about you to keep you from being your full self. That's what the divination said to him. Said, don't be of two hearts. You out here as a yam mortar, but you're pounding them at indigo in yourself, poisoning yourself, poisoning yourself. You're out here as a beautiful, high brow, high level, expensive, high maintenance tray that's supposed to be displaying beautiful beads, and you displaying dried fish. That's what you're doing. That's why you're sick. That's why your business ain't profiting. That's why your head is hurting. That's why you're stressed. That's why you got problems with your liver. That's what the old dude told Akira Malese when he came to get his divination. And it said for him to stop being of two hearts. It told him to make an eba. We call it eba. It's sacrifice offering. You know, our ancestors taught that the price of life is sacrifice. You have to give something to get something. Nothing comes to you out of thin air. The universe does not work like that. You have to give in order to get. That is the nature of the universe. So, in order to fix this problem, in order to right this thing and get himself back centered, Akira Malese had to make a bar. He had to make a sacrifice. So, of course, first he had to pay the diviner. He had to make sure that the diviner was well fed. So he had to pay the diviner his money, and he also had to give the diviner food to eat. But he himself then had to offer food and drink to his hand of Ifa. Your hand of Ifa is representative of your Ori. He had to make a bar to his ori. He had to listen to his highest self. He had to stop putting his thoughts, his desires, what he knew to be right on the back burner. And he had to begin to put his thoughts, his desires, and what he knew to be right first in his life. That's what he had to do in order to become well. And this cured him of his headaches, because he was no longer of two hearts. He was no longer out here being inauthentic. This cured him of the pains in his liver because he was no longer walking around in anger because he wasn't fully expressing himself. That anger was gone because he fully expressed himself. It cured him of the pains in his other internal organs, all of the sicknesses that he was experiencing due to being inauthentic, pretending to be something that he was not, and allowing himself to be used in ways that he knew were beneath him. All of those sicknesses then were gone. That he healed himself. And of course, after that, his business became profitable. He was living a good life. He began making money. He began bearing children. He was praising the diviners, and the diviners were praising Orisha because the diviners had spoken the truth. You are not to be of two hearts. Know who you are. Listen to who you are. Trust that you are big enough, you are strong enough, and you are fully capable of fulfilling the destiny that you came here to fulfill. Know that. You gave yourself, before entering into the womb of your mother, all of the tools that you need to fulfill the destiny that you chose for this lifetime. You were born with the tools. It's in your DNA. Okay? Trust that. So you can't let outside negativity, outside voices, outside perceptions, this bullshit ass society that we live in, you can't let any of that cloud you on your decision to fulfill that destiny, because that destiny is the promise that you made to yourself before you entered into the womb of your mother for this lifetime. That's the promise that you made to yourself. So when you don't keep that agreement with yourself, then your body, your very body rebels against you, because you grew this body to create that destiny. You grew this body for the purpose of that destiny. So if you out here doing something else with it, yeah, you're going to get sick. That's what sickness is. That's where sickness comes from. Remember who you are and what you are here for, and live it. The greatest revolution is to live your full life. That is actually the only revolution. That is the struggle. That is what we are fighting against, is forces that want us to live as less than what we are. So the greatest revolution that you can undertake is to completely and totally love yourself and live a full life. The yam mortar is not good for pounding indigo. The indigo mortar is not good for pounding yam. My beautiful tray upon which I would display beads for sale, I would not use to display dried fish. This is Obara. We are grateful and thankful for Baba Saleko for reciting the Odu upon that day. And we're thankful for those who assisted Bascom in translating it into English so that we may be allowed to partake in the wisdom of our ancestors here, right now, today, at this time, in this moment. We are exceedingly blessed. Be your full selves at all times, in all places. Those who don't understand, those who are bothered by it, leave them to themselves. They are angry because they are not being themselves. All right? Y'all know how I do. Peace, love, the warmth and the illumination of the light, The nurturing and the mysteries of the triple black womb darkness, ecstasy, abundance, and bliss upon each and every one within the sound of my voice who is wishing the same for me and mine. And as always, we wish the lessons of life upon those who are ignorant enough to wish us otherwise. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here. This message was a blessing. Y'all saying it was a blessing to y'all, it's a blessing to me as well. Please share. Sweetwater Collective is for everyone. Everyone needs to hear. Everyone needs to come. Everyone needs to be blessed by this information. So feel free to share the video as you like. I have a new website that I've been speaking about here on my YouTube channel. Go check it out. If you have been interested at any point in taking any of my classes, they are now able to be taken immediately, which means as soon as you purchase them, the class will be sent to you via inbox. All right. Love you guys. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I will see you next time. Peace.